I don't even say time heals all wound because I hate that cliche. It's not true. It's not time heals all wound. If you are just sitting around for 5 years mourning that relationship, it obviously isn't time. It's what do you do with that time?
The question we have for today's episode is, how do you get through a breakup? Also, the special guest for today's episode is relationship and dating coach, author, and host of the Be Mindful podcast, V Mindful.
Sure. So this was a utility question, something that I feel that a lot of people could benefit from knowing to better navigate, as a lot of strife is caused through how people navigate their interpersonal relationships or romantic relationships. And with so much information or negative information around this, I figured that we would counteract that and provide a healthy way to navigate breakups.
All right. So how do you get through a breakup? I think it depends. It depends on the breakup. Do you know that, let's say if you've been, because I'm older, let's say you've been married like 20 years, it's easier to get through that divorce than it is for somebody who may have been like in love for a year. It's easier to get over a 20 something year marriage. And I'll tell you why. By the time, let's say you're married 20 some years, right? You've been with this person, I promise you, probably year five, not year five, let's say year 18, 16, whatever, they really start getting on your damn nerves. You're ready by 22 years or 30 years, you're ready. Like you're emotionally ready. You have already checked out. You have been through so much that you're tired. When you get to that, because I was married 12 years. And by the time, trust and believe, when I ended the 12-year marriage, I was ready. I wasn't like crying all the time. I was like, oh, it's a wrap. I'm about to go into my whole phase, right? Because I was drained from the marriage. I was physically, emotionally drained from trying to keep the marriage alive. Now, you think of somebody who meets somebody and they have this whirlwind romance, 6 months, 7 months, they, together a year and then they break up. It's hard to get over that because they had a whole lot of hopes. They had a whole lot of dreams. They never got to see fulfilled. So it's just a lot of what ifs. And so therefore, they never got to see, well, what could have been. Whereas 22 years, 30 years, you saw what could have been. You ain't like it, you bounce, I'm done, it's a wrap, right? But for somebody who is trying to heal from a year-long relationship that they thought was going to be there forever, it is harder. Believe it or not, it is harder for them to accept, you know what, it didn't work out. So how would they heal from that? I mean, there's nothing you could do. I don't even say time heals all wound because I hate that cliche. It's not true. It's not time heals all wound. If you are just sitting around for 5 years mourning that relationship, it obviously isn't time. It's what do you do with that time? So I would encourage women and and men, because I met a man who has been mourning his divorce for 22 years. 22 years, this man has been stuck in his life. He hasn't moved forward. He hasn't progressed. So 22 years, and he's now almost 70. A lot of years wasted. He hasn't dated again. Never went on another date in 22 years. So it's not the time. 22 years is a long ass time, right? You'd think there's a whole lot of healing. I could have healed from 5 relationships in the 22 years, but he hadn't healed from the one. So it's what you do with that time. So you got to be productive in your healing. You got to go through the emotions. You got to feel it, and you got to analyze what went wrong. Take those steps, in order for you to actually say, oh, I'm healed. I feel better. I'm ready to date again, and I'm ready to try again.
When you say that doesn't heal all wounds and it matters on what is done within the time that elapses, what exactly would you consider, or what do you find to be most effective when it comes to individuals healing in a healthy way in actuality?
Be still, sit your ass down and be still. It's just finding out who are you, because when you're in a relationship, you get acclimated to that person. That person, you guys have adjusted to each other. Now you no longer together, right? Now it's time for you to just, I need to sit in my space. I need not to date anybody because I'm unhealed. And we don't want to do, let's say that relationship caused trauma. We don't want to do any trauma bonding, right? So it's best if you just be still and get to know who you are. There's a huge difference between being alone and being lonely. Figure out what that alone time looks like for you. I encourage all women, the women that I coach, and I say women, I have coached men, but women mostly. I encourage all women, go on a solo trip. Just try to figure out who you are by yourself, where you're only depending on yourself. So when I say, like, to heal in that, that being productive in that time, it really is just figuring out who you are. What do you like? Maybe you got acclimated to the person. You started liking the things that they like. That's not the things you like, so what do you like? What were some of the dreams that you had? Where would you like to live? A lot of times, like I said, especially when you've been married, you take on that other person's hopes and dreams because you are one unit. But now when that unit is no longer one, and now you're here and he or she is over here, you got to figure out who you are again. So it's like, okay, I have them write a list down, like name some things that you always wanted to try. Go do it. And then I always encourage, go do it by yourself. Don't do it with other people. Go do it by yourself, right? Because you got to figure out, well, if I don't like my own company, well, shit, who else gonna like my company? I don't even like being around by myself, So I always encourage you, figure out some of the things you like, some of the things you like to do, some of the things you would like to accomplish. And then, of course, eventually when you're there, take a trip by yourself. And if you're not comfortable with that, maybe, I told people, look, go to the next town, check in a hotel, and, where you don't know anybody, and just figure out how to, like, navigate life by yourself. Because ultimately, we came in the world, unless you're a twin or a triplet or whatever, we came in the world by ourselves. Right? You're going to leave by yourself. So it's a lot of time that you're going to have by yourself. The best thing you can do is get to know yourself.
Yeah. There's actually a chart that I saw in an article of the amount of time that we spend alone over the course of our lives. And so it was in contrast to the time we spend with our friends, with our parents. And over time, the only graph that went up was the time that we spent by ourselves. And it wasn't even close.
I saw that as well. And that's why, I have clients, I have girlfriends too, who never learned how to be alone in their alone time. Because if you never learn how to be okay with being by yourself, you will accept any old thing and somebody could slap a stamp on it and just say, this is love. It's not love. It's your fear of being by yourself. So you accept any old thing. And that's why I think the number one most important thing for people to do is learn how to be in your alone time, your solitude time. Really figure out who you are so that you're not chasing BS. You're not accepting any old thing that somebody, says, well, this is how I show you love. No. We're not, whatever reason why that relationship ended, figure out why it ended. I'm pretty sure everybody plays a part in it too. It's never, ever, because I was married. Look, I was married. My ex-husband, we had a type of relationship, right? But even then, so I still don't put it all on him and say, he's the devil, well, he kind of is, but he's not, he wasn't the whole reason why we ended. Like, I played a part in that, and I had to evaluate, like, what part did I play so that I could heal that part of me, so I could fix that part of me, so I don't take that part of me, that negative part of me, and take it to the next person. Right. So everybody's played a part in their relationship ending. I don't give a damn what they did. Right. What they did, what you did. There is some part that you played. Not necessarily your breakup, but in your relationship. Unless he was dating a damn blow up doll, like, you were a living human being in the relationship. Right. So you played a part in it, whatever it was. Fix it, maybe heal from it, but you got to figure out who the hell you are. So I would say start there. That's a long answer to your question, but I would say start there.
I'm sorry,
Josh.
you mentioned that you mentioned everything, like, in hot after the relationship's done. You mentioned, like, oh, okay, looking at the relationship, this is everything that went wrong. Have you ever looked at before the marriage? Like, did you get into the marriage thinking that, in hope that that person would be somebody, that the person would be like your ideal person, or did you get into that marriage and that person was the ideal person, or you thought they were and they ended up changing on you, or in some instance? Like, how do you
Well, that's a loaded question, boo. Okay. That's a loaded question. I manifested my ex-husband. I really did. I manifested the man I'm with now. But what I forgot to put on that list when I manifested my ex-husband was like character traits, like, honest, loyal, not cheat, not roam the damn streets. Like I put stupid shit on that list. If y'all could see my list, this was over 20 years ago. And I tell you, I kid you not, he had everything on that list. I even had on that list a paid off Honda Accord. Can you believe I put that on my damn list? Because I'm gonna tell you why. Because the man I dated before him, whom I loved and I was going to marry, but he ended up being murdered. Everything that, like, that man before, and may he rest in peace, and we had a great relationship. He was more flashy than me. I'm Chinese and black. My mama cheap. I grew up, she cheap as hell. My parents are still married, and we just weren't allowed to have like a lot of name brand stuff. So I wasn't used to flashiness. And so when I dated somebody who, like, showed kind of his money, it didn't make sense to my Chinese side of me, right? I was like, we don't do that in the Chinese culture. Like, you don't show your money. You might hide it under a mattress and shit, but you don't show your money. You don't wear it. So then when that relationship ended, that was on my manifestation list. And so my ex-husband had that, right? He's my frat brother. He had all these things. But he wasn't honest, he wasn't loyal, and all the other things. So when I married him, I married a list. I married a person that I saw some red flags, but I ignored some of the red flags. He could be mean, there was no abuse or anything like that, but he could be an ass. And I would ignore those things. I even saw those when we bought our house together. We bought a house before we got married. I remember being at Home Depot, and I don't even know what he had an attitude with me about, but he had an attitude. And I remember standing in line, and I was just like, I'm not used to moodiness, right? I'm not a moody person. I wake up the same way I go to sleep. Like, I'm not a moody person. I wasn't used to somebody being moody. And then when I saw that the red flag was there, when you're dating somebody and you don't live with them, you don't see all that. I didn't see the moves, right? I didn't see that this dude, all I did was wake up. Like, I did not know all of that. So I married a list, but I ignored some of the important things that I should not have ignored. And so it was something that I had to learn. So I don't think, did he change during the marriage? I'm going to say no. I think he is who he was. Right before I married him, his sister told me, I don't know why you marrying him. He's an asshole.
Is it possible that you say he went through your list and he was everything on the list? So is it possible that you've grown in that relationship? Like, okay, I don't want this anymore. I think this is not good for me. So it's possible that you've grown in that relationship, right? What it was, honestly, was that, and I came into the marriage with 2 children. Okay. Like I said, and I believe he married me with good intentions. Like I said, my ex before him was murdered. And I believe my ex-husband did marry me with good intentions. So I give him that. So as coming into marriage, when you already have children, he adopted my older 2 sons. And then we had a son together. So I have 3 sons. Once a woman notices that the man isn't making the best decision, like, he's an intelligent man, but I never felt like he made great decisions. He's a scientist. Like I said, he's educated, he had street smarts, and, all this other stuff that I was like, oh yeah,
all this stuff, right? But he didn't make good decisions. And then once a woman feels like that, I promise you, her spidey senses go up. It's like, and my shit went up. I said, he's not making good decisions here. Right. And then therefore, what happens? What happens when you put a woman in that position? She takes over. I had no choice but to take over. And I had to get into this masculine mode. Right. And then my masculinity overtook his. And that's what happened. And therefore, when he started cheating, going, these women, I'm sure, made him feel masculine. But what I had told him, of course they do. Y'all don't share any bills together. It's always green over there, right? And you ain't got to talk to her about these damn kids. They got football, basketball, track, and ain't no bills over there. You ain't talking about the mortgage. You ain't talking about the damn leaky toilet. You're not talking about those non-sexy things with the, the chick on the side, right? He cheated on me with his best friend. It was a woman. And she was at our wedding and everything. I caught them in the hotel together and everything, but it's all sexy over there, right? There's no responsibilities. So I was in my masculine energy, and it was the energy that I didn't want to be in. What woman wants to get married to be in her masculine energy? No woman. Well, some women need to have control. I as a woman, and I didn't grow up like that. My parents are still married. Like I said, my mother is born and raised Chinese from Taiwan. My dad is a very masculine man. My parents been married 50 years. I didn't grow up seeing that. But when you put a woman like me in a position to do nothing but to lead the household because somebody got to raise these kids, I'm not even gonna say he and I collectively changed the dynamic of our relationship. And so therefore, where we started was not where we ended.
And now let's take a brief pause from today's episode for our Business of the Week segment. This week's Business of the Week is 1865 Brewing Company, located in Hampton, Virginia. The 1865 Brewing Company is the first Black-owned brewery in the Hampton Roads area. They have a wide selection of finely crafted Belgian ale and hard cider to fresh coffee and tea for non-drinkers. Be sure to check them out for your next social outing. Now back to the episode. Between the three of us, I feel like we have some different varying answers to this question. I'm really curious to hear what Des has to say on this.
To be honest, Des don't have much to say. When wisdom is talking, you listen. And I mean, reason why I say I don't have anything to say is because the responses that V has gave is actually the opposite of what you hear. Like, you always hear working yourself, make whoever left your life, regret ever leaving. And that may be like an afterthought in the direction that she's provided thus far. But everything that she said thus far is rooted in the self. And I think that to say anything other than what she said without branching into what she's saying, I think it would be a great disservice to the listener, because I'm pretty sure she has a lot more to share with us, and I'm in a space to where I want to listen. I definitely have a lot to say, but I think that you have to know when to shut up and listen. So I'm shutting up and I'm listening.
That's fair. Josh?
Yeah, I can say what I was gonna say. Really like what Des said, what V said was really a lot what I had. But what I'm gonna say first is what I used to do when it came to like trying to get through breakups as a young person. Of course, what I used to do is, of course, stalk their profile to see if there was any type of hint that they missed me or any type of regret of the breakup. That's what I used to do. But what I think you should do is, I think you should really what V said, but really how you get through his breakup is find where it went wrong, whether it was because of you, them, or both people. And I think you are better equipped to do that by disconnecting from everything, so you can have a clearer mind and finding out what went wrong. Really, like V said, it's better to disconnect and be alone so you can become aware. and I feel a lot of people either mess with multiple people or simply start messing with another person after a breakup so they won't have to go through a breakup. So that's really what I had, and really what I say disconnecting is really the most important thing to get through a breakup, because if you don't disconnect, there will be a lot of the distractions, whether it's social media, you're going on social media, you start seeing other people's lives of their relationships and you start comparing yourself. And then maybe you'll start go to that person, your ex's page, like, oh wait, do they miss me? Like, oh, they took all the pictures down. Oh, I guess they forgot about me. So that's why it's really disconnecting, especially from social media, because we know how they affect the mental health that it can have on you. So that's really why I say disconnecting is really the biggest thing and really a huge asset when it comes to getting through a breakup.
I actually want to take a little bit of a deeper dive on what the isolation and getting more familiar with yourself consists of. So first and foremost, one of the things I find to be most beneficial is to understand why or how did the breakup occur, which you alluded to. And oftentimes what we see is not an indictment of individuals' characters, more so as it is a manifestation of incompatibility. And I think that's an important decision to be made, because they could have been a terrible person, or this could have been like a terrible mismatch, and you tried to force them. You tried to put the square in the circle and make it fit, and then you realized when you were busting your knuckles that it wasn't working. And so that's a different problem in itself. But over the course of, like you said, in the beginning, and then Josh just now, with getting to know yourself, becoming more familiar, taking yourself on solo trips and things like that, I think as part of the separation, there's no need for that stalking of pages in your prolonging. So I've been through, I've seen both sides where it was amicable, and then I've also experienced sides where there was no contact afterwards. And regardless of that, there was a period of which it typically went better when there was isolation. There was one woman who I used to date before, and then so the best thing that happened to me after we stopped talking to each other was she moved. That was the best thing, because that created physical separation. Mm-hmm. So we weren't always in constant contact with each other, and it was a natural barrier that allowed me to focus more so on myself. And then I also say reclaiming your activity. So you said a lot of times in relationships, people's lifestyles begin to mesh because it's a union now. And so with that becomes, you have your places. Like you used to go to dinner every Friday night, this one particular restaurant, you had this one vacation spot. Well, it's very common, at least in my experience, I'm gonna be very transparent, when you go to those places right after, it triggers those memories. You think about, you associate that person with that. So I'm very intentional. I will reclaim those places. Like if it was a special spot that we had, I'll go there by myself right after that, because I want to remove that association with that person and reclaim any kind of mental mind space that's a part of that. And I mean, a lot of people, I find a lot of success with that. I understand why people would be apprehensive about doing so, but I ultimately think it's better for you. And when it comes to healing properly, there is a lot of people, they tend to overcorrect, and we all took driver's ed, and we know the dangers of when you snatch the wheel too far and then you end up doing something too extreme, you end up ruining it for the next person. But really thinking through critically about how can you adequately respond to what went wrong. And honestly, I'm a huge proponent also of writing things down, so understanding why exactly it didn't work out. And then I said it before, if you're really objective in the kind of lifestyle that you want, the kind of future that you see for yourself, and you look back and you say, okay, this relationship didn't work. Was this person actually going to be conducive to helping me build this life that I wanted or not? And oftentimes the answer is no. And so I'm, at least for myself, I'm the kind of person, if I can understand the lack of sense that something makes, it's easier for me to get through it. But if you don't understand that, you're going to, and you believe that that's going to be your, that's like your golden ticket, then you're more inclined to have that association with it and be caught up on it even longer.
You know, you said something I find interesting, because the reclaiming the place, right? You know, because usually when you break up, let's say that y'all together and y'all shared friends, right? Who was reclaiming the friends, the shared friends that you had? It's like, well, I I don't want to talk to them anymore because they was more like my ex-husband. We broke up. I was divorced, and one of the friends that he has, his friend and I went to middle school together, but he's more his friend. So it's like, well, I got to cut that one, right? Because we can't, it's kind of, it feels a little odd. But one thing you said though, that I wonder, maybe that's what my ex-husband did. So we honeymooned in Aruba, right? When we got married, we honeymooned in Aruba. He turned around and got married in Aruba. And I was like, out of all the damn countries in the world, like, I would have never done that. Not because Aruba was, special to me and that it's, let me bless it with these special magic beans. Like, not at all. But I feel like I would, my boo now, I feel like I would be doing him a huge disservice. Like, I feel like I would be disrespecting my boo. Be like, you know what, babe, I got an idea. Let's go to Aruba and get married. Let's actually stay in the same hotel that I had on my honeymoon. Like I wouldn't do that, to me personally, because that's a little extreme. But I do understand what you say. You know what? If we went to the same gym, okay, gym is, that's easy, right? Gym, we go to the same gym. We were working there, working out there 3-4 times a week. And then we break up. Me personally, I probably would go to a different gym, because what if they still go to the gym? Then what? Then I feel like we're going to be in an uncomfortable situation here. It depends on, again, how ugly the breakup is.
Yeah, I do see what you're saying with regard to Aruba. I couldn't answer that. I don't know why. That's not something that I would have done either. But it's in terms of like the gym, that I could understand the need for physical separation there, and that grounds for that. But in terms, what I was saying was more so in terms of like restaurants and activities and things of that nature. Like, you always, when you're in public and you're in any kind of locale, you do always run the risk of running into somebody. But in the instance where you said where there's close intimate contact, where you could be on the Stairmaster and you look over and right next to you on the treadmill, like, it's not comfortable for anybody. So I can understand that.
Well, I know when because I'll tell you in the book that I wrote, I did share my divorce story, which is not very typical. And the reason why I chose the path that I went in my divorce is because sometimes it's easier to go from divorce or divorcing or enemies, back to friends and then nothing. Then instead of a lot of people, just think about it. When you're in a relationship, something good happens in your life. Who's the first person you're going to call? Something bad happens into your life. You love this person. Y'all riding together, right? You're 9 times out of 10, you're going to call your partner. Oh, babe, I got a promotion. Oh, babe, blah, blah, blah. And then so when those moments happen and y'all aren't together anymore, and that's when it's going to really hit you that, damn, that addiction, because it really is an addiction. Like, that person, that was a whole habit. Now you don't have it anymore. Now you got to find something else. So even though I call my ex cheating and all that other stuff, and I did forgive him after he cheated the first time. I did forgive him. Okay. And I stayed married. But I turned into a bitch. I was like, I could not believe I did, because I stayed married because my parents had 2 daughters, my sister and myself. And my sister was 2.5 years older than me. My sister was going through cancer. My sister told me, I want you to stay married because I don't want you out here by yourself raising these kids. I stayed married, but I was even to the point where my own mama and daddy said, damn, you're being really mean. I mean, I caught him cheating, and to the point where my parents like, yeah, because I turned into a bitch. I was like, man, F this. All kinds of stuff. Because, I mean, once you get on my bad side, I mean, you over there. And so then my sister ended up passing away after 4 years battling cancer. And my sister and I were very, very close. It was just me and her. We're military brats, so we moved around. And, I always had my big sister. She passed away. And maybe that year, it was her birthday. She was turning 38. My sister was turning 38 that year. And on her birthday, that night, the night before her birthday. My ex, all of a sudden, 10 o'clock at night, me and my youngest son, who was 5 at the time, we were just chilling on the couch in the bedroom. Like, we had a sitting room. We were chilling on the couch. And my ex gets up and he gets dressed at 10 something at night. And I'm like, dude, where are you going? I know the next day is my sister's birthday. It's her first birthday since she passed. He says, I'm going to go out. I was like, okay. I'm not the type of person, I don't even wait for my kids to get home. If you out, you out. Me and sleep are like this. Like, when I go to sleep, it's really hard for me to not fall asleep. I'm not one of them type people that you sit at the door. I don't even wait for my kids, and they came out of my coochie. So I'm not waiting on no man to come home. And he didn't come home. I woke up in the morning. I looked out the window, which was over the garage. I didn't see his truck, and it's 6:30 in the morning. And I was like, okay, he better be dead. At this point, he better be dead. But he came in the house at 7:30 in the morning, like nothing was happening, sun shining. My oldest son is up going to football practice. And needless to say, I went into attack mode. And he was like, I'll come home when the F I want to come home. And that was it. I never found out where he was. It didn't matter. I divorced him. That day, I changed the locks on his credit card. He paid to lock himself out the house, and I divorced him. I never went. That was it. That was a wrap for me, because I took it as my sister telling me it's okay now. It's her birthday now. It's her birthday. I took it as a spiritual sign that my sister is telling me, leave this fool. And so I did. Eventually I because I'm a cool person. I'm the type of person, I'm gonna blow up and then I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna have to say what I gotta say and I'm gonna move on. Right. But now I'm much more peaceful now. But back then, this is before my growth. I said what I had to say, and then I moved on. We started going back out to movies. We started hanging out as friends. I knew I never wanted to be with him again, but we started traveling together. We took 6 vacations across the world together as a separated then divorced couple. I was his date to a couple of weddings that his friends got married. He was my date to my gala for my job about 3-4 years. So we did this, and it helped me get through the divorce. Like, I wasn't missing anything. Like, I still had access to him. He still had access to me, even though we were in court. And sometimes we were battling in court. We get out of court, we be like, so what you want to do? And it's a very weird thing, but I would recommend that for anybody, like, at least trying to see the person as a person and not as your ex-wife, not as your ex-husband, not what they did, right? Because if you focus on that, your healing is going to be hard, because you're always going to be playing the victim in your mind, right? The victim, I'm hurt. They violated me. They did this. They did that. You have to get past that victim mode and just see the person for an individual person. I'm going to get through this divorce. I separated him from my divorce. I separated him from my marriage, him being my husband, just so that I could have mental peace. And I did that selfishly for myself. And so when he actually got into a relationship before I did, all of those hanging out, all those things ceased immediately. And we no longer do those things. We no longer hang out. We're still cool to a degree. Like, when his wife doesn't come to basketball games, he and I will laugh and joke and all that. When she comes, because I don't want him. He did eventually ask me to remarry him twice. I said no, because I was in a good, peaceful place, and I didn't want that drama anymore. But I just chose to be friendly and not being in a place of unrest, hatred, anger. I didn't want to look at myself as a victim, because if you do, I just feel like your healing is going to be longer. If you keep saying, I'm the victim, no, you get to choose your role. You don't have to be the victim. You can choose to be a person at peace. You could choose to say, you know what, I'm going to get over this and I'm going to move on. So that's how I got through my divorce. Again, I wouldn't recommend that for everybody, but I would recommend it for some women. Some of my clients, I do recommend that for, just to try to be at peace. But some of them, like if you're married to a narcissist or a jerk or whatever, somebody that's very vindictive, all that, you have to do no contact.
What about navigating the dating realm after that? Because so I've listened to Be Mindful, a few episodes of it, and so you talked about there were, like, you were I guess considered a serial dater at one point.
I
And
was.
so with that, I would imagine that there was a fair share of breakups involved in that, whether it be you initiating saying, "Hey, this might not be this isn't what I want to do anymore," or the other person initiating that. So how did you choose to navigate that, and what did you find to be the best way to do that?
Well, there wasn't no damn breakups, I can tell you that, because I went on so many dates over 8 years. Because we were separated 2 years before we got divorced. So we've been divorced about 10 years. So I guess anyway, there were no breakups because I ain't getting nobody a chance. I went on a lot of dates. I mean, it's not hard to attract men. I tell women, I don't know what the hell you doing wrong, because that's why I coach on the dating side, because I'm like, girl, the easiest thing you can attract is a man. And so I never had problems attracting a man. I go out here and I've had men follow me out the grocery store, and they typically have been white men. I'm not even gonna lie. It has been white men that have followed me out at Target to come to my car to ask me out. Black men haven't really done that, but white men have done that to me. And so then I've gone out on a bunch of dates. I've tried online dating. And of course, I just meet people out here. I even had my garage door guy, young white boy, came a young, like, he came to install my garage. I think when people say, oh, she has a cool personality. And I know that has gotten me in trouble so many times, but he came over to install my garage door, and he was recommended on the community app, right? And so I was like, okay, good, thank you, and we were chit-chatting, and he was professional, and he left. A week later, he sent me a text. He was like, I think you're really sexy. And I was like, dude, are you talking to the right person? And I sent him like the black girl emoji. I was like, I was the black woman, and he said, no, I'm talking to the right person. You seem really cool and you're very attractive. And I was like, oh gosh. And I was like, dude, how old are you? And he's like 15 years younger than me. It's a no for me, but now that I have gone out with men who are 15 years younger than me. So my point is, I have met a lot of men. So I've gone on a lot of dates. With the intentional, not just because my ass is hungry. Like, I'm not that type of person. I ain't go, well, I'm hungry. Let me go see where we're going. No. I was like, I wanted a connection as well, right? For a while, I couldn't figure out why I didn't like anybody. Like, it took me a minute to understand why I didn't like any. You can't sit here and tell me, for someone to gone on 100 to 200 dates, and you mean to tell me you don't like anybody? Like, I was like, damn, do I like women? Do I like women? So I tell my youngest son, I was, it's one of my neighbors down the street. She don't live there anymore. I'm like, my lesbian lover. He's like, can you not say that? Can you just not say that? But I'm like, well, maybe I like women. But either way, I had to evaluate why I didn't like all these men. So a bunch of breakups. It was just, some dates were 2 dates. I learned that 4 dates was the max for men, that would take me out. 4 dates was the max if they won't get no coochie or no affection. They would take me out 4 times, and then that would be it. Then they would go. I was been ghosted. They would ghost me, and then my boo today, he's like, shit, I'd have took your ass out twice. And then that would have been it. Like, I can't believe men was taking you out 4 times and you ain't giving them nothing, no hug, nothing, and because I wanted to get to know them, and it wanted to be about physical stuff, right? But so I learned that 4 dates was the max. That's fine. I can admit that I've been ghosted. I'm not embarrassed to admit that. But I went on all these dates. So it wasn't just 200 or 150 first dates. It was some like 4 dates, 4 max. Some guys may have been even 2, 3 max, but for the most, 4 dates. I just didn't like anybody because I finally figured out that I was too masculine. I was very masculine. I am, and I can be. I am a go-getter. I'm a leader in technology. I have single-handedly raised these 3 boys. I have 2 grandsons. I have a boy dog, and I have 2 nephews. My sister left behind 2 sons, right? One of which I raised for many years, and now he is 27. So when my sister passed, he was in high school. So for a period of years, I had 4 boys. I was raising 4 boys. My oldest son is a D1 athlete. He played college football. So I'm a football mom too. And I knew I was leading with my own dick. I ain't gonna lie. We be at the date and I'm like, so he pull his dick out and I'm pulling mine out and mine is bigger than yours, And so if I felt that my masculinity was stronger than theirs, then I just didn't like them. So I was like, I'm looking for a man that can put me in my place, that will make me feel softer, that can make me say, you know what? I can trust that he has my back. I can trust that he's going to take care of me, right? And I don't mean financially. A woman wants to feel safe, right? And so all these men I was going on dates with, none of them made me feel safe. Maybe one guy, and he lived in Baton Rouge, and he's fine. I was blinded by the fineness too. Woo! Woo, fine. I mean, he's so fine. He's on Inside Edition for being fine. No, he ain't that. I mean, he is he has done time, but he ain't that guy. Okay. He want that guy. It's another guy. The guy it wasn't that guy. It was another guy who went viral. But I was dating him before, all that. But anyway, I did like him. But everybody else, nope. I just didn't like. So I was a serial dater, but I also think I had part of me I wasn't healed inside, and I didn't know what was going on. That's why I say that solitude and really getting to know yourself is so important, because I didn't know me. I didn't know what I was looking for. So I'm out here the blind leading the blind. I might have been out here like this. It's like, okay, I just touch chest and because I didn't know what I was even looking for. I was lying to myself. I was always saying, no, I just want to see, no, bitch, you want a relationship. It took me a long time to be able to say that, years. So I had a whole lot of confusion in those 8 years. I had a whole lot of confusion, so now I'm in a much better place. Like I said, I have settled down and I am dating one person. But it took me years to figure that out. Trial and error, boo.
Why do you think that you were in so much denial about the fact that you wanted a relationship?
Because you get to a point that you're scared of being hurt, so you don't want to say it. You don't want to say it, and because if it doesn't happen, then it's no love lost, right? It's a fear of putting yourself out there. And it's a fear of scaring off men. If a woman says, well, I'm looking, I want to settle down, looking for a relationship. Women have a fear of scaring men off. So we don't want to say that. We say other things. But I have learned and I coach that, girl, you better say what you're looking for. Now, I'm not saying on the second date, be like, well, here's my wedding book and I put your face here and I put your face there and we're going to get married next week. I'm not saying no crazy shit like that. But if you're really looking to settle down, be clear and just say, I'm looking to date one person. You don't have to, I'm looking to get married tomorrow. I'm just looking to date one person. I'm looking for my romantic best friend. I'm looking to settle down, right? Those are the things that you need to say instead of, oh, well, I'm just out here to have fun, whatever come my way. That it doesn't work. It doesn't, because that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get a whole bunch of men that's looking to also have fun with you.
You had mentioned about the one person. I think that's a healthy way to go about dating and navigating that, because I'm always cautious when I hear women say that they're ready for a relationship just in conversation. And my reason behind that is when you say you're ready for a relationship, it sounds like you're just looking to fill a void. You want a relationship and you want to plug someone in. And the way I always looked at relationship compatibility is, am I ready for a relationship with this one individual? So I would rather get to know her, and if things are going well, then okay, let's progress. But I don't just go into dating with a woman and say, okay, I want a relationship, because I don't know if I like her that much, And so that is part of that is kind of it does have the potential to raise some concern, at least with me it does. I don't know, Josh and Des, do you feel that same way?
What is your question?
Oh, are you concerned when a woman says that she is looking for a relationship or she's ready for a relationship?
I see what you mean. Yes, I do, but sometimes I don't, because sometimes they have a genuine, more like they're open for a relationship, not necessarily they're looking for a relationship. It's more they're more along the lines they're open for it. So yes, but more if those women are more like trying to post on Instagram every time, like, I'm ready for a relationship, I'm single. Yeah, they're definitely trying to fill a void, and they need to go find something to do with their life. Yeah.
Yes. There was one in particular that I saw recently, and she said that I'm bored. I think I'm ready for a relationship. And those two thoughts in conjunction with each other, that was just it just sounded like a disaster.
Sounds like you didn't have anything to do that day, so you started looking at other couples, and okay, maybe I could do a relationship. So yeah, you're bored. Go do something. Go find something to do.
Go find a hobby or something. Yeah. It's like a lot of people I've encountered. A lot of people, they're more interested in finding a source of entertainment than they are an actual relationship. And what I mean by that is understanding that the other person is their own sentient being. They have their own thoughts, desires, wishes, likes, dislikes, and that much takes the back seat to what you feel that you can get from that person, whether it be companionship, whether it be sex, other forms of intimacy, whether it be whatever. But your concerns and what you can get from them take first precedence.
Would you, Brian and Des, would you feel what V said after a certain amount of dates, if you didn't sleep with the person, you're gonna ghost them, or you just don't care?
I don't think that. I'm glad you asked that, because I wanted to ask you guys the same question. But with the four dates thing, I don't think. So to be completely clear, to make sure we understand you, V, you said you weren't hugging them, you didn't kiss anybody, any of that. Yeah, that's a no. I'm gonna be very like your the guy that you're dating, he's on to something. I could understand, like, after the first date, that would kind of like raise some concerns, like, does she really like me? And then after the second one, all right, like, what's up with this? And yeah, it would not have been a third or fourth. That's just me.
Yeah. Really, for me, I think I would first want to ask, was the vibe, was it like a really good date? Like, did you look at the time every 5 minutes, like, okay, when is this going to be over? Like,
No. I can think of like a couple of, like, one guy, I thought he was such a gentleman, right? And I wanted to get to know him. I'm not gonna lie, like, I wasn't necessarily physically that attracted to him. So I was hoping that his personality was gonna win these draws over, right? And his personality just wasn't, I just couldn't. I was like, because he had a huge belly. Like, I could have rolled up and been in the belly like this. Like, it was huge. And I was so turned off from it that I said, okay, I don't want to judge here. Right. So I was hoping the personality was going to kick in. So I thought about that. Then another guy, I kept trying to give him hints. He was a nice guy, but he talked so much on the date. And I told him, do you want to ask me some questions? Like, I kept trying to tell him, I was trying to give him hints, and I didn't give him hints. I flat out told him, like, I feel like you monopolized the whole conversation. You're not asking me any questions. Like, you want to get to know me? Then he said, I'm going to do better. Well, after 4 dates, it never happened. He did try to kiss me, and I was I'm not going to lie, I was disgusted. And I was like, and I just was like, ew, why would you try to kiss me? I'm not even, because I'm not into physical attraction, but what I am into is like mentally stimulate me. You're not even mentally stimulating me. And so, I mean, any woman, for the most part, her coochie gonna be dry. Like, it's gonna be like, if you're not mentally stimulating a woman, it's big. It's a big thing for women, like mentally stimulate, especially me. I'm not saying let's talk about, going back to, trigonometry or whatever. I'm not saying let's sit there and break out the damn, play some games that, how they have their Cracker Barrel game. I'm not saying let's not do that on our first date. I'm just saying get to know me. Make me feel like you are trying to get to know me. Then I want to get to know you, and then maybe we can have some physical attraction, some intimacy. But though that's only with men I'm not initially attracted to. If I'm attracted to you, it's a different scenario, right? I'm attracted to you, but I don't like to go off attraction because I feel like that'll fail you every time. I'm like, well, it might keep me in there longer because I'm physically attracted to that person.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. Well, in that case, if I'm not physically attracted, or if that other person's not physically attracted to me, then it probably no point of going on anyway. So, I mean, it's because you can't really rely on just the personality. I mean, even if you did do something with them, like, are you going to just, for the rest of your life, just not really be attracted to him and then just like rely on his personality? So, yeah, in that instance, I think if the vibe is like really well, I don't think it shouldn't be at least a kiss. But if there's like other factors, then yeah, it's probably a problem. But if there's not really like a time limit for me, like I don't do like 4 dates, but I probably would ask and communicate like, well, so what's going on? Are you like fearful of like kissing me? Like how it was, like try to communicate like why haven't you tried to make the first move, or are you waiting for me? What's going on? So I don't really have a time limit, but it really just depends on the vibe, of the actual date. But with you, if you're not physically attracted to them, or if they talking too much, if a woman is talking too much, not asking me questions, I'm not gonna want to sleep with her. that's me. I don't want to sleep with your ass. Nah, that's just me. So yeah,
exactly.
He's probably just as selfish in bed.
He probably is. I never got to find out. Like I never got to find out. So he was 4 and done as well. 4 and done.
Des, how many dates would you give it?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know after the first date if a second date is gonna happen. So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. I have a really good gauge as far as energy. For me personally, it's typically been within like the 2 to 3 range. But I will say that it's not a deal breaker for me because kids is expensive and spiritual equity is also a scarcity. So to be fucking on anything and then plan B ain't inexpensive either. So there's just so many factors. Just from my perspective, being a young parent, like I don't look at it the same way. Like I don't have to sleep with everyone I go on a date with. Like it's just not, the risk reward isn't there. I mean, let's be honest.
Good point.
Let's be honest. I mean, you go on 2 to 3 dates, then you got to factor in, oh shit, now you got to have a conversation with the baby moms. Because similar to your situation, V, where of course I'm not married, but I had my child when I was 22, and his mom and I have always had a great relationship post our relationship. So we've had like maybe a month or 2 fallout after he was born, but pretty much after that it was smooth sailing as far as the co-parenting ship goes. Mm-hmm. And we've always been able to do things together when it comes to him. And so you always have to weigh that, like, all right, she's gonna be able to gauge this other chick's energy just as easily as I can gauge it. Is that a game of chess that I have the mental capacity and the mental equity at that point to play over some temporary sex? I mean, the risk reward is never there. When it is there, you know from the get-go. I will say you do know from the get-go when it is there.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. You do know. I agree. I agree. I just probably tried. Like when I met my ex-husband, I wasn't attracted to him. I got to know him. We were friends. And I liked his vibe. I liked his personality. We were really cool. But I was not attracted to him at all. And even in the court, my attorney, who was a beautiful Black woman, she was like, did he get you? Is what she asked me, and I was like, oh, I said, he's actually a pretty cool person. So I try to keep that, like, because energy, personality, vibing is very important to me, right? Their personality honestly outweighs their physical appearance for me.
Josh, I'm curious. I want to direct this question to you because we've had our own unofficial episodes. So when Josh and I shoot movie reviews, we get sidetracked oftentimes to start talking about other things. And I'm curious, how does a breakup typically occur in your experience?
In my experience, well, to be honest, see, this is the thing about this with this generation. With this generation, we don't. A lot of people don't ask the girl to be their girlfriend in this generation. So there's a lot of there's a lot of inconsistency.
Unspoken.
Yeah, as far as like, yeah, we're together, but so to me and me personally, if I don't ask you to be my girlfriend, we're technically not together. No matter what she says, we're technically not together. And if I don't ask you to be my girlfriend, there's a reason I don't ask you, because some of those red flags I've seen. So with me, as far as relationships, the last time I asked the girl to be my girlfriend was probably early college. And as far as that breakup, how that really went, it was literally within a day, because I asked her to her face to elicit reaction, because you ask somebody to their face something a person usually asks in text message, and they're like, oh, they're taken aback. Oh, okay. So I asked her, like, you want to be my girlfriend? She said yes, but she texted me like right after that and was like, I'm not ready yet. I have to like sit on it. I never asked her again, because at that point she never was really ready. She really basically showed me she wasn't ready, and I tried to make her ready by still messing with her and everything. But that was really the last breakup I had. But as far as like in high school, I'm looking at profiles, like trying to see if they miss me at some point. And it's never, of course, a good precedent. Like, you should never do that. But the only way I left that in a positive mood, if I saw a profile and I saw like any hint of, oh yeah, she missed me. Okay, my day is okay. Like I can breathe easily for the rest of the day, So yeah, that's really like the history as far as my breakup. But when it comes to this generation, there's a lot of inconsistency as far as, are we in a relationship? Are they actually in a relationship? There's really not that much communication, whether it's because of social media or whatever. But yeah, that's really my history, Brian.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I do agree that it is I think I think it is a young, I'm not even gonna say a younger thing. It's a today thing, and that's why I would tell any woman, because this is what women do. I know this show's about healing from breakup, but I'm gonna say that this is what women typically do when they start a relationship. They date the one person, and then they be all about him, and then he ain't all about her. There has been no conversation that I'm about you, you about me, and she has turned down a lot of options, because she thinking we go together. Bitch, y'all ain't had no conversation. He has not talked to you. He has not asked you anything. Have y'all, being exclusive sexually is not the same thing as being in a relationship sexually. Just because we the only ones sleeping with each other, I'm not sleeping with so-and-so, but I may not even be in a relationship with you. My options may be open. You may call me on a Friday night and find out my hot ass is out on a date, because I'm not in a relationship with you. But women do that more than men do that. Men, you guys will explore, to Joshua's point, you probably were exploring your options while you say, I never asked her to be my girlfriend. So you're probably, a woman comes up to you, you probably didn't turn her down. So
actually, I was actually the complete opposite. I was actually so devoted to her because I was really in the point, because I was at the point where I knew her in high school. Like, I didn't like her in high school. We was cool and everything like that, but I didn't start liking her until she liked me. And it was like an attention thing I had to get over. like seeking out the attention or being like, oh, she gave me attention. Okay, I love her now. Like this is how it is. But it was really like she's gave me some attention. I was like, okay, I'm really be devoted to her. Like I'm like, there's no point in me like cheating in a relationship, even though we wasn't in a relationship. There's no point in me like searching for other girls. Like I tell Brian this all the time. Like I'm not a person to do a one night stand or go to a party and just pick up women. Like, oh hey, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like I try to stick to one person for a variety of reasons. So yeah, with that, it was really me on like being devoted to her to the point where. Not to say that she was always stepping out or anything like that, but it was really
she was unready.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
She was the one that was unready. Yes.
So not that relationship, but when you when you were talking about like dating, and if you don't ask somebody to be your boo, the options are open, right? I would, your options are open, and women need to operate in that same energy. Keep your options open until there's a relationship that's established. And I would encourage women to not bring up the topic. If he doesn't bring the topic up to you, don't be like, so do you want to be my boyfriend? You know, it's like, wait for him to say something. Now, if it's months and months and months, like we're talking 6 months later, and he still hasn't said anything that we're exclusive, girl, then yeah, you can probably just straight up ask him. Or let them know, hey, look, next Saturday I'm going out, you know, I'm going to be busy. You don't have to tell them I'm going out with somebody else, but I'm just busy. I can't do whatever you want me to do, whatever, I'm busy. He needs to know that you're entertaining other people. And if that doesn't encourage him to make you his one and only, girl, move on, because you sitting here wasting your damn time. You wasting your time.
I do agree with that, but at that point, isn't that almost, I don't want to say it's an ultimatum, but you're convincing someone to enter a relationship. So let's say you do that, exactly what you just said, and the guy says, okay, yeah, all right, you want to be my girl right now? You want to be my girlfriend? So at that point, that's not actually a true reflection of what he actually wanted. So is that even worth it, as opposed to exiting gracefully?
See, that's why I said wait months and months and months. Typically, most people know within 3 to 4 months. If you already, like you said, you know, within the first date, if you want to keep getting to know this person. Men, y'all know more. Y'all know up front if you want to keep getting to know this woman or not. You know if you want to make her your girl or not. Pretty much, maybe not at the first eye contact. But y'all know if you're gonna string this chick along, y'all know if she ain't got a chance in hell, she just got good coochie. Like, y'all know
different kinds of women.
Yep, there's playing. And so yeah, if we talking months and months go by and there's been no conversation on the man's part to say, I'm about you, you about me, then okay. But I don't want a woman to just wait on a man to make that decision. She has every right to choose as well. You know, women gotta stop waiting to be chosen. You can choose too. And if that's not where you want to be, you have every right to not give him an ultimatum, but you can still entertain him and entertain other men. I'm not saying sleep. Please, women, hear me out. I'm not saying sleep, give your coochie here or there, just sprinkle it all out. Like, I'm not saying that at all. Dating doesn't mean I'm gonna intake this person inside of me, this person inside of me. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you can keep your options open. If somebody wants to ask you out, girl, then go. Then just go. If you're not in a relationship with that one person, girl, just go. Somebody could have better intentions for you elsewhere.
Right. I can honestly say, with my experience firsthand, and then from observation, what you were saying about the assumed exclusivity difference between men and women, that is very much so a real thing. And it's been a constant source of tension in my life in particular. Like, when I first meet a woman, we could just pretty early on, and then she pretty much assumes that, okay, this is like exclusive. And then when I try to be more proactive about this and say, we're not exclusive right now, and that typically doesn't go over well most times. And so, like, there is certainly a disconnect there. It's like, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do realize that that's a very real thing.
Well, you're not responsible for her assumptions.
No.
So one thing, and that's part of my program, is teaching women how to date. Women were never taught how to date. We were taught to wait to be chosen. He has to take your hand in marriage. Let him ask you out. Right. I'm not saying women become in the masculine mode, but women do need to know how to date so that we don't stress y'all asses out with exactly that scenario that you're saying. Right. If we just truly take this as a process to get to know somebody, get to know them. You don't even know this person. Oh my gosh, he loves cats. He must be the one. Like, you don't even know him. You don't know how he's going to act when he's broke, when he's rich, when he's sad, when he's happy. Get to know this person on different levels and different seasons, right? Different scenarios. You don't know anybody until you go through different scenarios. I don't care how long you've known somebody. If y'all have never been through anything, life events together, you don't know that person. And so I would encourage everybody, just get to know them. Get to know them. And then see where it goes. But you like, oh my gosh, he is 6'8" girl. And I know that we'll just make beautiful children. It's like, you think so? Really? Just based off of that alone. Okay. It's like women need to stop doing that. We need to take our time and get to know these men first. And if he doesn't choose you, then girl, so be it. It's a lot of men out here that would.
I think you need a bigger platform, because I really like what you're saying, and I feel a lot of women need to hear what you're saying in terms of dating in that particular approach.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. That's why I'm trying. I've been busting my butt to release this program, and I agree. Like, I have coached women. I'm telling you, the women that I've coached and learning how to date, drastic improvement. I can coach, and I can tell you, I can coach any man to get any woman. I am 100% confident in that. And I can coach any woman to get a man. I very, very want, first of all, for me coaching a man, I raised 3 sons. My oldest son, he a little player. He's very, very handsome. And he's single, ladies, only serious inquiries, only please, and you gotta pass my test. But I'm telling you, I can coach, and he's at such a place because he's been in a place before that he wasn't mentally attracting great options. And now when I tell you my son is at peace, and the last chick he was dating, she's gorgeous, beautiful. And I was hoping that they would go further. I actually hope they would. She's absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I really liked her energy and her vibe, but my son said she started encroaching upon one of his boundaries, and he was like, he said, "Ma, I done had bad bitches before. She ain't the baddest I done had." And he said, "No thanks." And he said, "I can't." He said, "She's, he's honoring himself. He's honoring his boundaries, and I'm happy for him. He is truly, and this is me being his mother, teaching him how to date better. But I can coach my son to get any woman he wants, just like I can coach any woman to get any man she wants. It's not that hard, but it took me years to figure out because I'm such a masculine woman."
I respect that executive call that your son made.
He made it, and I ask him sometimes about it. He's like, "Ma, leave it alone." I'm like, "Well, how's she doing?" He's like, I don't know, and I don't want to know. I'm like, okay, I leave it alone. But you're right, he did make an executive decision on that. I ain't mad at him. I agree with the decision he made. I agree, and I could coach her easily, but she's got to reach out to me. But my son was like, "I don't know about you coaching her. I'm your kid," But I could have easily coached her to be better. It's a lot of people out here with they need to address their attachment styles. A lot of women have anxious attachment styles. I mean, for the most part, we have secure attachment styles. They're based off of how you grew up, how you were raised. You probably have dealt with somebody who had an anxious attachment style. They need to address those because they're not going to ever find the love that they want until they do.
Josh, Des, did you have any other, or V, did any of you have any other questions that you want to pose to the group?
I had a statement. You and your sons and your family might need a TV show. I don't know. You guys are really that entertaining.
We Lord, yes, I absolutely, and I'm working on that piece. When I tell you I don't have don't have a lot of time, but I'm busting my butt, guys. I'm really busting my butt, and I appreciate one that you guys finding me interesting enough to be on the show. I do thank you. I thank you for finding me, and I thank you for inviting me. Anytime you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, topics you like me to cover in my IG, do a reel on it, then I'm all for it. I will definitely do that. But I thank you guys for your time.
Well, thank you.
Nice. You have any questions, Tess?
Nah, it was solid.
Nice. We usually end the episode with a recommendation of the week, whether that be like an album, just something mindful, anything. Des usually gives it. Do you have one, Des?
No, I was going to extend it to V because I know she said she's an author, so I wanted her to.
Yeah, it could be a book too, something, anything.
Sure. Well, my book is on this topic that we were talking about, but my next book is on the dating topic. But my book is right here in the background. They tried E1. It's on Amazon. It is about healing from heartbreak, whether it's divorce or long-term or any type of relationship. It's healing through it. And like I said, I share my own personal story in there to give people hope. And then it's places in you to write, because journaling is healing. It really is. Scripting, writing, talking to yourself, affirmations, all of those things are part of a healing process. And so this book includes all aspects of that, but I really go into going through the ugliness of divorce, the whole stages of, there's 5 stages of grief going through divorce. I cover all that in the book. So it's on Amazon. I did publish it through Amazon.
I can't see the part of it. It's they tried E1.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh, you won. Sorry.
Yeah, you won. I don't know. Is that right? Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's. I have gotten pretty good. Positive. It's a pretty book too. It's highly giftable. So if you know somebody that's trying to get over a breakup and they are stuck, there's some people stuck. Oh my gosh, there are some people stuck in a divorce or a breakup. By all means, gift them that book, please, because there's a whole life out here. It's a whole life out here. Staying stuck we don't have to stay there anymore.
Yeah, be sure to check it out then. I want to thank V for coming on. Of course, like you said, please come back. You're part of the Infusion Network family, so we really appreciate you.
Thank you guys very much. And again, thanks for the time. I appreciate it. You guys enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend, so thank you.
Yep. All right, if you guys liked the discussion, don't forget to hit the like button. We're gonna see you guys the next time. Peace.